And the thing is also, you guys were supposed to come to London as well. Like, you guys were still, you had so many dates, like, lined up to the
London
finish.
is like the highlight of one of the major, it's like, it's Poets and Autumn, and then it's Poets and Autumn London, like in South Africa, and like we haven't done a lot of islands, but those are South Africa, London, and PIA in the States is like the three major events that I know that I'm fully committed to annually, right? Yeah. And it's just like when they took that away, I feel like they took part of my family reunion away. It's just like, what do you mean? Like, it's not gonna happen. Like, how am I supposed to get my Nando's fixed? Like, I don't.
Oh my God, Nando's.
I don't understand. Like, but it's been tough. Like, I know that like it's been pushed towards the end of the year, so I'm grateful that it's still prayerfully it's still going down. But it's even for people who are setting up there, like out there to kind of host us and be ready. Like, there's a lot that just goes in. I think people don't really process, like, you come to an event and that's the day of the event. But so much work has gone into even just people being aware that the event is going on, and the money that takes to market, and you know what I'm saying?
It's a lot.
It doesn't just start. It doesn't just start. Like, it's
honestly,
it's a real thing.
And I think it's important for, you know, for those who are literally watching and listening right now, it takes a lot to put on events, like thousands.
We have the easiest job of all. We come, people say, "Oh, what's up, Nettie? What's up, Joe? What's up?" And then we get on the stage, and it's like, "Oh," and then we get off the stage, and people provide food for us, and we're loved on. Who's opening the building? Who's like making sure all the stuff? Like, we have the easiest part of the entire, but we get praised the highest, which is for me, which is why it matters. Every person matters so much to me. Like, this, I want to make sure everybody's seen, everybody's thanked, everybody is loved on, because it's like I know that we just showing up, and we just talking about the flight was so, I have jet lag. Man, get out of here.
So you'll get over it.
You'll get over it. It's not hard. It's not hard.
There was a question that came in earlier, and it's talked about, you know, should you know, creatives, like you know, if you're a musician or whatever, should you have another form of income and not just what you're solely doing? Because obviously, and for you now, has that made you realize that you probably need another source of income now, so that you can do your creative stuff, get that income, and then do something else?
Yeah, I think I would need another source of income if I wasn't married. I would be like, hey, like, let me think through another source of income. But I personally, my personal take is, because before being married, I do have another source of income, because when I was living in LA, I co-own a performing arts company with my best friend for the past 20 years. So we take jazz, ballet, you know what I'm saying, hip hop, theater, like, and we've had that business for over 20 years. We have students who started with us when they were 14, they're now 30. And some of them have gone to dance with Alvin Ailey. Some of them dance with the touring Lion King. Some of them. So that's been our business for a very, very long time. And it's a good business, and it creates a great income. But with me leaving LA, I didn't want to continue to pull from, and I still do stuff like, you know what I'm saying, that I'll still get paid for here and there, but I'm not trying to pull from the organization if I'm not as present as I was, right?
Yeah.
So that for me was great to have that income, because I didn't look at the things that were ministry as like, oh, I need this, I got to get this. Man, if I don't hustle to get this, then it's like, I just don't even want the opportunity for that. And then there are some people where they're not affected. I'm just talking about me personally. Yeah. I'm not, this is not a judgment on anybody who is doing their thing, or, you know what I'm saying, who is creating a different income within ministry. I'm not doing that. I'm just saying that for me, personally, I would prefer that my main income doesn't rely on a ministry side of things. But if it did, something that I could say like, hey, I'm being compensated specifically for this, but not me like having a heart to book events and do things for the purpose of like that. Let's just say it's like, it wasn't something I already was going to do. Like, for example, I was using the one-on-one poetry sessions. There's some that I've already done, and I was doing cycles of that. But let's just say I wasn't planning on doing it. But now, since I'm in a crisis, let me just hurry up and do it, because I know people, because that's a different mindset. You know what I mean? Yeah. So that's kind of really what I was trying to say.
It is.
Yeah.
Wow, gosh. So yes, I hope that answered your question for the person who answered that. Someone just asked, being involved in the lives of other creators, is that helpful as well in this time?
Yeah, in a sense, I think you can kind of relate to other creatives that are going through things, but with the whole quarantine situation, it's also still really hard. It's just like, I can't, I'm a very like, here's the thing, like I'm always kind of like seen as an extrovert, but I'm really like the dichotomy of like an introvert and extrovert because, and my husband will tell you, like, I'm a person who like, I love to engage in really good conversation. I love to be around people. It's a great thing. But there is a moment in every day, which is usually in the evenings when my husband was home, he'd take my daughter upstairs like 8:30 at night. And I have to like 8:30 to 11:30 where there's nobody, like just no talking, no nothing, just me isolated that I need with no, I don't want to be involved with anybody. I'm not trying to have a conversation. And I really, or like even before the event, I was like, hey, I just told him, I said, hey, I need about 2 days. I got to go. Like I need about 2 days and I need to kind of go to Airbnb and I just need to I need to be alone in my own mind, in my own space, just me and God, with ain't nobody else. Like I need that. And he knows that about me. Like I can be as much introverted as I am extroverted. I need it. Just for my healthy space, like a healthy frame of mind. I am better when I come back from having some time alone. Because even when I FaceTimed when I was at this Airbnb, he was like, I want to be able to provide that for you, like on like maybe once a month or regular, because you were just sounding so happy to know that nobody's going to ask you for anything, for nobody to be like, mommy, I want applesauce. And for nobody to say, so is there anything to eat in here? Like none of that, just I'm relieved of my responsibilities for a moment and I can actually get this space and time for my own mind and my own space. Like even as an artist, I need a recharge and I can't recharge. I'm the person I can't recharge in my house. Like this is the same place I work and do everything. So for me to try to write and be creative in the same space that's like I need to kind of get away from this space and go finish creating this space. I need to get in this space, memorize in this space. It kind of fuels me in that way. So yeah, as much as I'm extroverted, I'm introverted. And that's not that I don't love people. So, but the extroverted side of me has had a really hard time with the quarantine situation because my mom was coming from LA. I haven't seen her in almost over a year and a half now. And it's just been a lot. Like it's heavy. And I think that I tell people, like, I knew something was really wrong with me when I wanted to give somebody a hug.
Stop it.
That ain't me. Like,
are you serious?
I was like, something is wrong. I woke up in the morning like,
you wanted to give a hug? But that's a natural thing.
I know. That's why I know something's wrong with me. But I knew something was wrong. And then my husband was like, I told him, I was like, something's wrong. He's like, what's wrong? She's like, I feel like hugging somebody. He's like, what? I was like, I know something's wrong. He's like, you can give me a hug. I said, no, because you're going to think it's something else attached to it. I don't want to give you a hug. I just want to give somebody a hug who don't want nothing back from me.
Get the cookie.
I want somebody who's just going to hug me and let go, not hug me and move their hands elsewhere. No, I just want a normal, platonic, basic air gap hug. That's all.
Wow.
I'm saying,
like, wow.
But yeah, I miss my friend.
That's too hilarious. That is too funny. That is just way too funny. But I guess it does shift things around.
And it's hard too because everybody's here. I mean, Ezekiel's here, Joel's here, Jackie's here, Preston's here. Like everybody's here except Chris. So it's like we can't go see nobody. We can't do like, you know what I'm saying? Like I love human interaction, and so it's weird.
I think a lot of people are missing. You know, even my housemate was just saying today, like, I mean, this whole lockdown thing, yeah. But I do miss like seeing people. I do miss looking at being physical with someone. Not physical, but like
I feel like it's worse because I'm being told I can't. It feels worse because I'm being told I can't. So once there's something, maybe it's a rebellious spirit within me. But once you said maybe I wasn't gonna go out, but now the fact you told me I can't go out, oh, now I want to go out. Like I gotta find.
Yeah. Why is that such a thinking that this is how? I've noticed that's how us humans do things. Like not because I can't. No, I must now. Yeah. Like I want to go out, and it's like, but you never wanted to in the first place. So why is it now you want to?
But I think too, like psychologically, it's been tough. Like psychologically, not being able to see like certain people I interact with regularly, whether that's nieces and nephews and friends that I really genuinely love, that I spend time with weekly. Even church. Like, listen, no disrespect to people who go to online church, but it's a great supplement. I don't understand how they do it. Like, I'm a person who needs to hear hallelujahs on the side of me. I want to hear somebody screaming for deliverance. I want to hear that. I want to feel what it feels like to lift my hands next to other people. I miss corporate worship. Like, I want it. I feel like I want to be in the, I told him, like, I sent a message to my friend. I was like, when I get back to church, I better bubble wrap all the pews, because I'm going off. Like, I'm just bubble wrap everything. I don't know what's going to happen. You know what I'm saying? But I miss being able to be in the building and see people's faces and watch tears fall from people's eyes and worship. Like, those are really real things. And it's crazy because it's like, I do feel like there has been a space where we've taken a lot for granted. Even for me, like, I feel like now that I'm having the time off, when it's time to get ready to actually do the live show, I feel like I'm just going to be so much more appreciative and go so much harder. Like, even when it's getting close to the show, I was like, man, like, I feel like I didn't exhaust enough time in some of my days. Like, I didn't plan my days accordingly enough to, like, I could have got more rehearsal in that day. I could have, if I would have planned better. And now it's just like, it's kind of on that end. It's just like, one of the great things that could have happened was to give me more time. Like, because more time is only going to give me more preparation. And so it'll happen, you know, when he sees fit. But I miss people. Really, I miss people a lot.
Yeah,
I'm not a person who says I miss. Even when me and my husband were dating, he said, I miss you. And I said, thank you. You know, appreciate that. He's like, you don't miss me? I said, I actually haven't thought about you all day. I don't even know how your day is not busy enough to, I don't know how you think about me and your busy day. I haven't thought about you today. But then, because honesty is important, right? But then when I did miss him and I said it, he understood how, he knew that it was so real, because I'm not going to say I miss you too, just for the sake of saying, I don't, not today. Sorry. It's okay. And I think it's okay to be honest. Like, it's okay. I didn't miss you today.
Do you know what, right? I have a feeling that I think I'm the kind of person that would probably do that. Oh, I miss you. Oh, okay. Yeah. And then, like, it's like you always have to say it because, like, they said it, this is it, but, like,
there's so much pressure. It's so much pressure.
Yeah.
I need to be relieved of the pressure. I need to be relieved of the pressure. Like, because I don't want to be forced in a space where I'm lying. And I wasn't going to say anything. I said, thank you. He said, I miss you. I said, thank you. I said, genuinely, like, thank you. Thank you. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, when you tuck your head down, that's like humility. Like, thank you. You know?
Thank you.
He was like, he's the one that asked me, you don't miss me too? My guy.
It's okay. I said, my guy.
I've been very busy, my guy. My mind is not on you.
Oh my God, that's so funny. All right, right. If you got any questions, please start get your questions in now. And at some point, if this thing cuts off, because I know we've got so much to talk about, just a little bit, then we'll jump back in again to talk to continue the conversations if it does cut off. But I'll give you some warning. So get your questions in now. If you have any questions for Janette, whether it be on, you know, being an artist and entertainment, you know, family life, how to balance that. Get your questions in now, or put that in the question box. There's a little box by the side of your comment box. It's got a question mark on it. Put your questions in there, and I'll be able to reel them off and talk to Janette about it. Okay, so you've been married. How many years have you been married now?
5.
5 years. Wait, that's
5.
Thank God.
We met in 2010.
Wow. Amazing. All right. So, for people in this period, because, you know, there was reporting that, you know, there was a quite high number of divorce rate in China because after the lockdown, people couldn't, like, couldn't no more communicate or relate anymore. So, on the relationship side of things, and I know sometimes you get questions on relationships and whatnot. How can, like, someone who is dating navigate the season right now? Because it's hard. Like, this is the time where, like, I want to meet someone. I want someone. You know, get all up in the feelings. What's the best way to navigate this for someone who is single, and obviously when you're married as well? So, do you want to give those two tips?
When you say single, you mean single in the sense of desiring to date, or already dating, and, like, how do you maintain it? Or is it like single, you're desiring to date?
Let's talk about desiring to date. Like, you want to date, you want to start dating, and, like, obviously you can't go physical, you can't see them in person. So, like, how do you navigate that?
Yeah, it's so interesting because we're in a really weird time frame and time space when it comes to dating, period, whether this quarantine situation was happening or not, right? We are in this space where we're watching shows like, I'm saying, Love at First Sight and Married at First Sight, and I'm saying all these different things where socially it's looking very different. And it's tough to navigate now because you don't actually, the hard work is almost halfway done for you because of this whole DM situation and the approach. And I think that like the main thing like that you can benefit from this space is to be able to, number one, be clear about what you want, like, and what your desires are. I don't think that you should be in the space of like, I want to date, but you're not clear about, especially for my ladies, because I think that men are the ones, I know that men are the ones who are to pursue, but once this person pursues you, it is now your choice. And I think choice is is just as weighty as being pursued. But if you don't know what you haven't formulated like the architectural mindset for what it is you desire to choose and what you need, not necessarily just what you want, but what you need, then it's going to it's going to be very scary, because then same thing I was talking about with making the money. You make dumb decisions out of desperation. It's like, you ever seen somebody that's like in a scary movie when you're scared and you're running and you're trying to open the door and you drop the keys and then you can't get out? Yeah. It's because of desperation and fear. And you don't want to do that in this type of situation. You want to already know, these are the things I stand for. These are my deal breakers. These are the things I'm okay with. These are things I'm not okay with. And there's a lot of petty things that we are willing to agree to and petty things that there shouldn't be an issue. I have friends that are 5'4" who won't date a guy who's 5'6". It's like, guys, like, and it's a real thing. It is a real thing. But at the same time, like, these are the same people who are going to get mad and say men are choosing women off the way that they look. Well, we both kind of have hangups in that way. So I think that right now the major thing is to be mindful. I don't think you should even be thinking about the dating scene if, in fact, you haven't been real with yourself. And if, in fact, you don't have any mentorship to tell you, yes, I co-sign, I think you're in a great space, that if somebody approached you, that this is a good time for you to date. The foolish thing about it is, like Proverbs speaks about the danger of making individual decisions by yourself, right? There's wisdom and wise counsel amongst many, right? And so if you don't have somebody who's able to peer into your life, the believer's life should be lived openly, right? It's not this private life. I had people, when I was dating my husband, I had people who could grab my phone at any given time and look through my conversations. Were all my conversations the type of conversations I'm supposed to be having? Absolutely not. Did I get called out on it? Janette, what is this right here? This is extreme flirtation. You trying to make this brother stumble. I mean, I was just, exactly. You have to be able to be willing to live openly so people can, because there's so much protection amongst the believers. There's so much protection. Yeah. And so you should be able to be and that person should be able to come into a space and say, hey, like, man, like, who can I talk to kind of confirm about like who you really are and what you're about? And you know what I'm saying? Who are you submitted to leadership wise? And could I talk to that person who's over you and who is responsible for shepherding your soul? Because if that person is shepherding your soul, and I know that that's going to be also my responsibility as well, I feel like we should have a conversation too. But nobody wants to take this. This is the perfect time for conversation on conversation on conversation. And so for me, to my ladies, it may seem extreme, but if you're the largest decision you will make on earth is choosing your spouse, the person you're going to say you're going to be one with, the person you're going to submit to. And submission listen, it is a thing, but like my husband was the first example of submission for me. He kept showing me that he loved me without receiving love in return. I miss you. I thank you. Hey, I love you. Okay, all right. Like all these different things. He was consistent, even when he didn't receive love back. That is the image of Christ for me. Right. And so when he comes to me and he's very serious about it, like, and I understand this is the largest decision I'll make. If I don't see that I can bring more glory to God with you together than I can by myself, this is not even a conversation. And that's when it starts to not become about the petty things like, oh, he don't have this and he don't. You know, my husband were physically attracted to each other when we first met. Neither one of us. Yeah. And it grew into this thing. And I always tell people, he always says like, man, like my attraction for my wife, it was like God, like. And so like his typical woman was like, I don't know if y'all know who Trina is, but she's a down south rapper. He's from Jacksonville, Florida. That's who booty, this, everything. Listen, I'm still wearing the same bra size since 10th grade. So we know I wasn't that, right? So the reality is I'm competing from the waist down, but up above it's not. So he was like, the Lord's giving me eyes for you. And so now at this point, because of his attraction to me, it's paralleled with who I am in Christ. It's paralleled with what we can do together for Christ. But it's also like, now I've been drawn to you in such a way that anything I've deemed valuable and beautiful, I compare it to you. So he's like, man, that woman has dope hair just like my wife. Or that woman has a dope dress like my wife would wear. Oh yeah, my wife would like rock that. Like, so that is his standard of you, which kind of like keeps you from that whole cheating mindset, because it's just like, oh no, like that is, it's developed in a specific type of way. And so I think, yeah, man, like it's, the reality is, it's like, be careful, tread lightly. Like, don't make these rash decisions out of boredom. I didn't had some real close calls out of boredom. I done had some very close calls out of boredom. The fact that we made it to the altar without having sex, but it was some close calls out of boredom.
Those close calls of having a lot of.
Yeah, I see you over there laughing when I came back.
Oh my God. Right. Okay. So guys, if you have questions, get your questions in now. Start putting your questions in, and then we're going to just literally run through them. So if you wrote a question before, sorry I missed it, but we're going to go through the questions now. So if you remember it, start writing it ASAP. Thank you very much. Thank you. Okay, so we talked about, the single dating, because it is a lot of, it's hard times right now, especially, for people who want to start dating. And, I have friends who have been on apps as well. They've been on apps and kind of dating. Even I went on a couple of them, deleted one because I was like, this is not for me. Tried another one. And I was like, okay, that was okay. Got kind of some connections, but I'm just like, do I really want to do this? Is this the thing? Yeah. But for those who get dates on apps, like, what would you suggest? What would you suggest for them to do?
My first thing with that is safety. Honestly, it's I know here in Atlanta there's a big, huge sex trafficking situation going on, and
for real?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think my biggest thing in my personal experience with the apps, and not necessarily that I've been on the apps, but like I have friends, and I understand. Let me just say that I get it. Like, my best friend is 42, and I think a lot of times that because of the way that society has structured the desire for women and the way that the average man looks to choose a wife, even in the believers circle, it ends up not being, I'm saying, they're looking for a woman who has this worldly standard of beauty a lot of times. I said this on my live the other day. Like, you have a guy who's normally like, and again, this is my disclaimer. I think every man and every woman is beautiful. But according to worldly standards, we know that people have these numbers how they gauge people. So I'm saying this is what I'm basing this off of. You have some brother who thinks who's probably about a 3 in the world, right? When I say a 3 in the world, you go to the club, you ain't get no numbers. You know what I'm saying? Like, your J's are scuffed. You don't have a good edge up. Your hairline's tripping. Like, you wear a lot of hats because it's already starting to. There's a lot of things about you that make you a 3, right? You're a 3 in the world. You get saved, you come to the church, right? You get saved, you come to the church. And the ratio of women to men is crazy. And automatically, because of the ratio, you become a 10 in the church. So now you start acting the fool. You start acting the fool because you've never had this type of attention before, right? You got women who are kind of like giving you this attention that you didn't have because, us, the realm of believing women is interesting. It's like there's just a lot of things that you pass on because you desire marriage. So you have a brother who's a 3 in the world. He comes into the church. He's a 10. And now he's like, he's kind of feeling himself a little bit. So now he feels like he deserves a dime piece, right? He deserves a woman who looks a certain way. And also he now has options. So what's the purpose of committing? Because I could kind of pursue you, but then like, if I got you, then I could probably get, and if I got her, then I could probably get. So,
yeah. It happened.
But you're not remembering you the same dude who was, I'm saying, your J's was scuffed up and you know what I'm saying, looked like you were riding a big wheel and stopping with the tip of your shoes. Like, you are still that guy, my guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and so like, I think that like what ends up happening is that they start trying to choose based on the same standard that the men of the world choose. And it's disheartening. So I say a lot to say that my friend's 42, committed in church, blah, 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 blah. But like, dudes just don't really like, they're not really approaching her like that. And I think that she just desired to be with somebody so bad that she places herself on this app, right? There's a kind of fine line with that. I'm not saying I'm completely and totally against apps, but if we women are not supposed to be pursuing there are some women who I know who are like scrolling and like, taking the initiative. And I just kind of think that gets a little murky. There's some women who just make themselves available. I don't know how I feel about somebody just kind of scrolling and seeing my physical approach and being like, okay, I'm gonna roll with this. I don't know how I feel about that.
Okay.
Because I believe that it's fleeting. I could get in a car accident next week and not look like this anymore. Let's just not even take it to that extreme. You could get married and you may have fibroid issues, or you may have, different issues, or you may get pregnant, or you may, like, there are so many things that contribute to, and if it's kind of like starts out right there, I'm still kind of seeing about how I feel about that. But the development of that, my experience, even with people that she's brought around me, is they've never been fully who they said they were or displayed themselves to be through the app. There's always something that is like, you weren't honest about that. You didn't say that was the deal. You didn't. Are
we talking in the physical sense, or are we talking about more in the characteristics?
I'm gonna say both, but mainly in the characteristics. Because you can only walk out how much somebody is a believer, like, to a certain degree, if you're doing it online and distance. But I'm not saying it's not possible. I'm not saying that, but like every time I've experienced meeting people, it's like it ends up being a shock to people. It's not like you've held something back, like to the point where like your identity. I've heard situations with identity. I've heard situations with how many kids you actually have, or I'm finding out that you didn't just like my situation and were interested in me, but I actually have somebody in the same circle who you didn't know that I know that you also went out with too. Like it ends up being like this. Messy. It's almost like I don't like the process of that. I will say that. Yeah. I don't. But I will say that I get it. I just don't like the format. I think there's a way to do it. And I think that we should think through that, even as people who are leaders in the realm of Christianity. I think that we should, since it is a thing, I think that we should think through how to help people do that in the healthiest manner possible.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, right. Kingdom Child _7 says, how do you find the balance between the artistic and the spiritual aspects of your life? Are they separate, or do they always coexist?
Yeah, for me, that's one and the same. I don't feel like it can separate. And there are some people who do. You have people say like, this is the type of music I do, or this is the type of whatever. I think for me personally, I don't know how to exist in different spaces when it comes to that. I think that it will always come out. No matter what I do, I think it's going to exude. The essence of who I am is what's going to come out artistically. Yeah. I can't kind of like set this to this side and then put this here. Like, where I am, and I think that you've known that from on the artistry that I've presented, that where I am is what you're going to experience. And what I'm experiencing, that I'm going to be honest about it. And I'm going to say like where I got to, or where I'm trying to aspire to get to. But I'm going to be very honest about the process. And so if I'm angry, like I was angry about the miscarriage, I'm going to say that. I'm going to be extremely frustrated and express my level of pissed offness. Like, but at the same time, I'm not going to say that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I think that. And for me, I tell people all the time, I don't think I'm the dopest poet at all, by far. I think that people relate to honesty. And I know how to be honest. I know how to be honest. And I know how to, and the biggest thing is being able to relate. Any dope artist, like, that you find extremely dope, that if you think about it, the high level, like your favorite artist, there's a relatability aspect about that. That's why we love social media. That's why it means something when somebody, this person followed me. There's a relatability aspect. And I feel like I am sensitive about being able to relate.
Yeah. Okay. Hope that answers your questions. Remember, if you have any questions for Janette, please write them. Just keep writing them down now. I'm just looking in the box. There's nothing in there. Okay. So write your questions for Janette, and then we'll.
You're like one of my favorite people to talk to. Like all the interviews. Yes, top 3 of all time. For real.
Oh, thank you.
I like to have conversation. I don't like to feel like we're like, and then what do you think about? It's just like, no, we usually just talk.
It's too regimented. Just let it flow. Like that. Let it flow completely. Okay, so one of the things I was actually going to ask you is, like in Atlanta right now, what's the feeling like? What's the aura like over there? I mean, are people adhering to the lockdown, social distancing, or anything like that? It's like what is it like that? And what's the do you know about the amount of people dying or the people contracting it? Is it high? Is it low? What is it like in Atlanta at the moment?
So in Atlanta, there's been like, it's interesting because it's like no disrespect to our governor, but I'm gonna just say what he did. Where it's just like we're quarantined, but we sheltered in place really late, in comparison to other places. So there's a lot of people still out and about, and then it's just like a lot of times a lot of people aren't taking it seriously. It's like I think Joe did a video recently, and people were outside playing basketball like it's just regular at the park, and they're still out there just doing their thing, and it's just like they shut down the whole NBA, y'all. Like people who get paid to do this, and y'all out here playing basketball. And then like our everything was shut down, and then he opened the beach back up. Like after 2 days, I'm like, bro, like how are we supposed to get ahead of this? Like if you're opening up the beach, like this doesn't make sense. He shut it down and then opened it back up, and so my prayer is that like we just really start to take it seriously. I know that we have situations where the curve is flattening and then it comes up, and it's just like, man, like I'm not trying to keep doing this. Like I really wish there was something where we could shut everything down across the nation just for strong, hard, like, you know what I'm saying, 2 weeks. And then like, if we just did that, then we could be done with this thing. But yeah, it's not.
I think this should just be like how Italy enforced their lockdown, whereas you ain't coming out of your house unless you have a good reason to. If it's going to the shop, then you can go to the shops. I know like a lot of countries don't really want to bring in because if they bring in the army, that's a whole nother issue.
Yeah, we don't want to go through martial law. That's gonna be
exactly. Exactly. Like, and it's I don't want that, but if we have to like do something drastic in order for this thing to go down, for people to like really look, if you want to go back, if you want your freedom back again, just do what you need to do first, and then then let things die down completely, and then you can go back to. It's as simple as that. But people just don't want to listen whatsoever, which is very, very frustrating. Okay, SC30 says, what do you think about how racism and inequality is addressed or not addressed within the church? Sometimes in white churches, it feels like we discuss the ideal and not the reality.
Yeah. Well, let me just say, coming to Atlanta, going to church is a totally different thing. Yeah, it's totally different from going to church in Atlanta. It's totally different from going to church in Los Angeles. I will tell you that for sure.
Wow.
Hang on one sec. What? Love? I know it's because it's Lady T. Like that's why he was like, "How long was your interview?" I was like,
"Okay, don't worry. I'll let her go. Can you ask? Can I just have you for like another 15 minutes or so, and then you can go?
Like 15 minutes.
Is that okay?"
Okay. He's like,
"Thank you." That's the reality right there. This is how it is. This is the norm.
I thought you usually go for an hour. What do you think about how racism and inequality is addressed? Yeah, here's the thing. I think there's a lot of talk of great ideas, but I think that the hard part is it is in the same way I was talking about discipleship. I think that sometimes there's an expectation for people to know, and they genuinely don't know. And there are some people who choose to not know, and there are some people who just genuinely don't know. And so the hard part is thinking through, since you recognize it or I recognize it, am I being intentional with building with people who are not my color and educating them on my experience and our experience? Because sometimes it's not realistic. Like, that's not their reality. It's not their reality. They're experiencing a different America than we are experiencing. And the sheltered aspect of it all doesn't allow them the space to even understand what's going on. And so for people who are hardened in their heart and just don't want to accept that, and don't want to accept responsibility for that, I don't try to force my way, but I do think the church has a responsibility to address, not just address the issues, but create environments for extended conversation, and not just for us to, because a lot of times as a Black person, it's like we feel like, hey, like y'all need to understand our truth, understand what's happening, but we need to also understand what's going on the other side. And when you kind of represent the goals, I think there's a different response when you don't approach it like we're old. And in all reality, like, give me my 40 acres in the new one, all reality. But to be completely honest, at the end of the day, as a believer, what am I owed? Nothing. So my heart is that I don't want to address things that I'm not willing to be a part of. So it's not enough to hashtag stay woke. We can hashtag stay woke all day, but how many people actually stayed awake after hashtagging stay woke? If if every person that says stay woke actually put their feet to the ground, this thing will look totally different. So it's not enough to make a social media, like, what are you doing in your personal community? And I think it starts with that. If you feel like there are things going on that aren't being addressed and it's the ideal and not the reality, it is my responsibility to say, hey, like, is there leadership I can sit down and meet with? These are some things I've been thinking through for some real racial reconciliation. How can we go about this? So I think it takes the initiative, because if it's been placed on your heart, sometimes even with leadership and pastors, they're juggling so much that a lot of times it is the ideal and not the reality. You are living in it every day. So I think that sometimes you have to take the initiative to kind of start those conversations and even deal with those things. Like it's extremely, it has to be
show the reality of it rather than just always thinking like.
And that doesn't mean exclude the reality of black. It doesn't mean like I don't see color. It doesn't mean that. No, it doesn't mean that.
It doesn't. No, it doesn't. It really doesn't at all. So it's got to start there.
But be willing to do the work.
Yeah, you have to. This is it. The work. If you talk it, great. Put it into action. Because if you don't put it into action, then it's just like you just exert all that energy for no reason whatsoever, and it's not going to get you anywhere. So actually be that change if it needs be. All right. So with this whole pandemic that we're in now, what is your biggest advice to anybody who's watching or listening? That's a creative, that's an artist, that's an entertainment, and is a Christian as well. What would be your advice to them in this period and then moving forward as well? Like things to learn, things to just start thinking about.
Yeah, it's interesting because I think that doesn't look the same for everybody, even as a creative. I think right now, if I tried to just be extremely artistic, I feel like it would be extremely forced. I think I need to be honest with what I feel, and I need time for that. I need to be honest with what I'm feeling, and I need time to grieve the hurt of things not being able to kind of go how I desire for them to go. Grieve the hurt of watching my husband having to leave every night until 3:30 in the morning. I need to. I think sometimes right now, like we move so fast. It's like, okay, well that didn't work out, so let me just do 1,000 Instagram lives and get on Instagram Live every single day. And it's like you could do that, and if that's good for you to do and that helps you, that's great. But I think people also need the space to not feel the pressure to create. Even for me, like even on a regular basis, you ask me how many poems I'm doing in a year, maybe two, max 3, because I'm living this thing. And a lot of times it doesn't just come like everything. There are certain things that God wants me to experience that will be a part of a piece now. That will be a part of a piece now that I won't experience until 2 months from now that needs to be in the same piece. And I'll be like, oh, I get it. I think there was one situation where I did this piece called Thy Will Be Done. And I could not get the end of it for nothing. And then my grandmother had passed away. My mom was like, hey, like, if you want to check in the garage and see if there's anything. All I really wanted from her is like, she did these devotions every day. And that's all I really wanted. I just wanted her actual devotions with her actual, oh yeah, see, look, this is it, right? Like literally like her actual handwriting, what she would write literally every day. That's her handwriting. That's all I wanted, right? And I came across it and literally I literally just opened a notebook and it said, Thy will be done, and her heart behind why God's will should be done in her life. I needed that. And that literally like sealed the deal on the rest in peace for me. But that was until like 3 or 4 months later. So I'm not into rushing art. Sometimes I'll get something and it'll be quick, and sometimes it won't. But I want it to have the space to breathe and grow and do what all it's supposed to do. So, like in this time frame, my recommendation would be like, today has enough worry of its own. You know what I'm saying? Like tomorrow is like, that thing is not even promised. So if you feel like you're in a space where you're thriving, you feel like creating, don't be lazy. Do what you got to do. There's certain things like even from a music theory perspective, like just from technical perspective, I want to continue to run scales. I want to continue to get better at guitar. Those are things that I want to do. But I'm also in a space where I'm like, I'm not rushing to do those things because I'm still very much experiencing the climate of, and I don't want to feel the pressure from anybody or anyone to do such thing. Like I just want to be able to like, man, like what does God want from me today?
Yeah, definitely. All right, I'm just going to ask, see, this one question just came in, and then I'm going to ask you one more question. It says, Lady T, in that vein, I guess what we were just talking, At Scribble, yes, you can ask a question. How do we address the Afrocentric perspective of Christianity being a white man's religion?
Oh, we're trying to unpack this mug.
This is that's
I'm
heavy.
No, it is. I'm actually looking at these books right now because I was going to recommend something. My husband probably has it upstairs. To answer that, there's a really great book. It's called How Africa Shaped the Christian Mind. And when I tell you, y'all, like, that is my answer. Like, I could go on a long list on how it's not the white man's religion. I can go on a long list of that, but it would get extremely extensive in the time frame that we have. But I highly recommend, and I'll post it. I'll post the cover of it on my IG and my stories after we're done talking. But the book is phenomenal, and it's like top 10 of people who I really respect, like as far as like different leaders who are African American who defend the faith on a consistent basis. They all consider it to be in their top 10 as well. So
wow. Amazing. There you go. So she'll put for the person who asked that question, Janette will put the author or put the picture of the book in her IG stories when we get off. So make sure you check her out. If you're not following her, check her out and look at the story and get the book as well. Okay, so for my last question, because I know you've got to go, what has been your biggest takeaways? I asked this question to my last guest. She was like, oh my gosh, I can't say one. So what have been your biggest takeaways from this season that we're in during this pandemic and, being isolated or quarantined? What are your biggest takeaways from it?
Yeah. That my heart is still wicked. It's, and I hate to say that, like, because it's like sometimes you don't want to say that when you know that you're looked to in a certain way. But a lot is being exposed in me, and I'm grateful for it. But it's painful because I thought that I was. Sometimes you think that you're a little more mature, a little further in your faith than you really realize. And when you pray prayers like, God, show me myself. God, show me my heart. Whenever you pray scripture, He is faithful to do that. You want God to answer your prayers, pray the will of God. You want God to answer your prayers, pray what's in the Bible. He will answer it. And this has shown me that there is a loftiness, like there is if somebody asked me, like, are you a prideful person? I would just like, nah, like I'm humble, like, but this has shown me like, no, you think things are supposed to go how they're supposed to go. You feel like you're owed because you do stuff for Christ, that He should do stuff back for you. And you feel like things should go how you want them to go. And you feel like things, you shouldn't experience certain things. Like you shouldn't, like it doesn't make sense to you that these type of things would happen to you. And, you feel uncomfortable when it's time to be still. You feel uncomfortable I've told you slow down. I've told you be still. You didn't listen. So now you have to slow down and be still. And is it still about me as God, or is it still about you trying to attain like a certain aspect of notoriety and respect amongst your colleagues and your peers, and you still trying to prove yourself as an artist, and you're saying for people to still know you legit and you still got it, and you're saying like, is it that I want to say no, like God, it's all about you. But my response to this situation is proving opposite, and it's painfully obvious. But the good thing about that is repentance is available to us all every day. So one of my biggest takeaways is even after 2 weeks in quarantine, like I've learned that I still need repentance every day because thoughts still keep coming up. How could this happen? Like, why are we experiencing this? And when we gonna get our house? And when we gonna it's like, bro, like if God never, and I say to people all the time, if God never did another thing for you, like I'm saying, He doesn't owe you anything. And we should be able to be content in that and rest in that and be sure of that. And I was so passionate. Oh, but now when I got to eat it, it's like, it's on my plate.
Yeah. It's like, nah, you don't.
I think that's the other thing. I'm really, really sensitive right now to how I've responded to people, and the extension of my grace hasn't been sweet enough. Come on, sis, you got to get out of this. Like, no, like you don't understand. Like, I need to be more empathetic and more patient and more kind. You know what I'm saying? Like, can that be named amongst me? And so, yeah, that my heart is, even when I think that my heart is so good for God, that even that great heart is extremely wicked, and He's faithful to show me that. And continuously praying that God will continue to do that work in me, because it is His goal is for us to always see our need for Him. And so this is another example. This is another example of like, you're going to be reliant today. Today, you're going to be reliant. And so and that's really what like my song Mahogany Pain is all about. It's about the reality of like, hey, if this is the place you have to have me for me to recognize how much I need you, then let this quarantine keep lasting. Because if I'm quarantine free, and then I get out in the world, I'm like, whew, finally, okay, God, I don't need you now. Like and let the show start and let the day start. The Bible says, set your mind on things above, and I haven't been doing that. I've been setting my things on things here, not setting my mind, because if I set my mind on things above, bruh, and that's how my husband lives. We wanted to get a different car. I don't care. Like this gonna be burnt up. It seems extreme, but his mind is, he don't care what he drives. Now me, I do. I would like. I'm not there yet, but I'm saying, like,
working on it.
Yeah, because I don't want to hold anything so tightly that like I miss the reality of who God is to be in my life. And so like the dependence and my need for him, knowing that I need him in the storm as much as I do in times of what seem like peace.
Yeah,
so that's my biggest takeaway.
Yeah, I think that's the most important, like needing him in the storm, because like we do, and it's like it's been tested. It's been tested, and it's just like he's just watching like, are you going to, like, I think I said this the other day, like, what's your posture going to be like? Is your posture away from God, or is your posture to God? Because if it's not to God in this time, and then all of a sudden when you come out of things, and then things could get even worse, you had your chance to focus your posture to God, but you didn't. You had so much time and you did it, and now all of a sudden. But so I think this time is definitely teaching about, trusting God more, and your focus should really be on him, so that nothing can really shake you again at all. So oh my gosh, I know. Okay, like 15 minutes. I think we've gone over 15 minutes, and I know we could have gone over so much longer.
I know. I heard my husband come downstairs, like, and he just went back up. He's like,
is it not?
I was like,
oh my gosh. All right. So I'm gonna let you go, but Janette, thank you so much for
my pleasure.
For just coming and just being real and just talking about everything. Like, gosh, and I just really hope people understand the reality of what is happening to everyone, because it needed to be said. And this is one of the reasons why I did this, just so people could really understand what is going on. And I know I'm going through my own thing, but like, I really want people to really understand, like, there are others who have really been affected by this, and you need to hear what they're going through, so that you know that you being at home is going to make things different, so that this thing can go out, it can flatten, and then we can go back to normal. Because otherwise, it's just going to get harder and harder, and who knows what else is going to do. So thank you so much.
Yes, anytime you want to chop it up again, just let me know, because we got so many subjects we can talk on, whether that just be the relationship aspect or the singleness aspect or the whatever. Honestly, just let me know. I think we'll have a lot to chop it up about in this space and time. We got time. I'm
literally going to finish now, and I'm going to write things down. I'm like, okay, what can we talk about, and just do like a little series on it and get people talking and going. So but seriously, thank you so much. I really appreciate it. All right, can you tell everyone like how to follow, where to follow you, like Instagram, Twitter, your website, merch, and all that kind of stuff, like all that you need, all people can get to just be about you. Let us know, tell them what it is.
Everything is I am Janette Ikz. Hopefully you guys can see it in the top corner. But everything, I mean, whether that's Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, my website, everything is I am Janette Ikz for your convenience. And if you guys even enjoyed this, and there were maybe, I don't know if everybody's questions were able to get answered, but if they're not, then feel free to hit me up in my DMs. And once again, I always thank you, Lady T, because it's always good times.
Honestly, thank you so much. This is brilliant. Like, who's asking who's Lady Tolu? Oh, find out. Don't worry. Just, DM me and I'll tell you who I am.
Listen, trust me. Let me tell you, I'm not going to hop on in the middle of the day for everybody, but I'm definitely hopping on for Lady T. Like, you're going to know for sure. So.
It is, exactly.
All right, let me get to my responsibilities. I love y'all so much.
God bless you. Thank you so much. We'll catch up later. Bye-bye.